Good morning, my friends. Good morning. This is day 2 of the Trump jury verdict watch. Day 2 of the railroading of citizen and future reelected President Donald Trump. An absolute travesty of the first order, and I will explain to you why. But let me first, as I always do, remind you a very, very critical factor. It is now 159 days until the election. We're under 160 days. Keep this in mind. This is what all of this is about. Everything is about the election. Everything is about the election. The only reason this is being brought, the only reason is the election. I want you to also understand, in the event you've just tuned in, if you've never heard me before, I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. I'm not a conservative. I'm a licensed lawyer. This is my 42nd year. Licensed, done it. Supreme Court, Florida, New Jersey, District of Columbia, New York. Currently, still handling cases. Know what it's about. Very proud of the profession, proud of what it does, and proud of this thing called the Constitution. I hold this up and people think, is he holding this up? Yes, that's what this is about. It's not about, that's the blueprint. That's the scaffolding of all of this. Now, what I'm trying to do, and what I'm going to do, is to explain to you what is happening so that you always trust what I'm saying. So that when I do something, when I say something to you, when I say, well, this is good for Trump or bad for Trump, you'll say, I believe him. He doesn't lie to me. He doesn't make things up. I'll tell you the good news, the bad news. And I'm not going to repeat what the jadruls say over and over and over again. I'm just not going to do this. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on, so that when you listen to me, you believe me. In addition, I also want to try to teach you this. And the reason why I can teach you is because of the fact that I've got time. Yesterday, I had to watch, Fox News, because they were giving me updates as to when there was a jury question. And it's very easy to miss online. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This is the biggest bunch of children and glad handers and cheerleaders, and they're worthless, with the exception of number one, Andy McCarthy, the best, bar none. Number two is Jonathan Turley. 3, John Yoo. The rest you can have them. And I don't even know who the rest are. They're okay. They're okay. But in terms of this, now Andy McCarthy, he's not airbrushed, and he's not he hasn't had 75 pieces of plastic surgery, so maybe I don't know. He's the best. And what he writes specifically for National Review is absolute genius. Don't expect it to be on Fox or anything for the matter, especially that horrid morning show. These are clowns who do nothing but cheerlead. I don't want cheerleaders. I don't want you to tell me why I should like President Trump. So sit back, make sure you are subscribed, because I'm hearing every now and then somebody says, I'm unsubscribed for reasons I don't know. So before we begin, my friends, let me always start off as we normally do with a word from our great and terrific sponsors. They make us, they help us, we respect them, and they have tremendous products and services and the like, especially this when it comes to emergency food. Now, if that doesn't get your attention, emergency food, nothing does. This is preparewithlionel.com. Listen. It's no longer a question of if something catastrophic is coming, it's when. And while you still have some control, what are you going to do about it now to prepare? Well, your first step is going to my website, preparewithlionel.com. And for a limited time, take $200 off a 3-month emergency food supply. My Patriot Supply is equipped to help you and your family to prepare. They've helped over 2 million families already. These 3-month kits with ready hour foods provide over 2,000 calories every day with 22 varieties and a 25-year shelf life. Breakfast, lunches, dinners, drinks, snacks, everything. And they're sealed inside 6 rugged waterproof buckets, and they're over 120 pounds of food. So take advantage right now and go to preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. One more time, preparewithlionel.com. Now, my friends, let me go through this so that you grasp this critical piece of information. Critical. And I want to make sure that we're on the same page with this. Make no mistake about it. Of the criminal cases that are currently in line regarding President Trump, the January 6th case in in DC, it is on maybe permanent hold as the Supreme Court determines liability, immunity, all this other kind of stuff. Is there something to that? Yeah. Maybe not very strong, but I can see somebody say, okay, do you think that what President Trump said on January 6th theoretically might be the subject matter for some type of an incitement prosecution? Yeah. Very weak, but I could say he spoke. There was this reaction. Okay. Do you think, number two, there is something to be said regarding Jack Smith and the president taking certain documents? Yeah. Weak, but you can say, well, there were documents. He took them, and the question is, what was his intent? What were they? Yeah, okay, sure. All right. Do you think there's anything to be said for and regarding the propriety of the Georgia case of racketeering regarding false electors? And well, it's very weak, but is there a subject matter? Electors, Georgia. Yeah, okay. You got that? Listen with all your heart. Listen to this with all your heart, all your soul, with every molecule in your body. There is nothing, even as a basis, even as connective tissue regarding this case and President Trump. Nothing. It is the wrong case, the wrong facts, the wrong defendant, the wrong reason. There is nothing there. I can't even think of an analogy. I can't think of anything to explain to you that would show you there's nothing there. Nothing. And I can go through, we can break through. I'm afraid that I don't want to bore you, but I've been through the indictment with you a number of times. Again, Andy McCarthy did one of the best articles today in National Review, looking at the New York Constitution. It says you can't base a law on the fundamental scaffolding or lattice work of a law that already exists. Again, people they tune out. So let me say this again. What you're seeing here is not just because it's Trump. I'm not saying it because it's Trump. I mean, I like him. I'm gonna vote for him. But I told you in the first 3 cases, there's at least an argument to be made about January 6th. There's an argument to be made about the documents. There's an argument to be made about racketeering, maybe. But at least there's the facts are kind of in the ballpark. In this case, in New York, there's nothing there. I mean, nothing there. To enter a false statement, there was no false statement made. There was no false business record entered. There was no intent to defraud anyone, the American people or others. And there was no federal election crime that was even remotely considered or conspired or thought about, because of the fact that at any time, anybody can sign a non-disclosure with anybody for any reason you want. I can go right now to Faye Dalton. I can go to anybody, to Lizzie Solak, to anybody, to Inman. And I can say, Faye, do me a favor. I'm going to pay you $150 if you never mention anything about my involvement with the Kennedy assassination. And Faye says, what? You heard me. You heard me, lady. I'll pay you $150. Sure. I won't mention it. Thanks. No problem. What the hell does he have to do with the Kennedy assassination? I don't know. But he wants to give me $150. I'll do it. It's a non-disclosure. Anything wrong with that? Nope. Could Faye be somehow involved in the cover-up of the assassination of the... No. I mean, you might try, but I don't know how you would. Well, what is this? I can't make this... I can't make the point enough. A non-disclosure agreement in and of itself is no problem. A president, a candidate, somebody running for office who wants to pay off somebody who might make trouble for them, I don't know. Maybe somebody who might say, oh, okay, go ahead and just pay her off. Okay, fine. What if there was a candidate who said, I've got some problems with child support issues. I got this lady's claiming child. Fine. Okay. Child support. Okay, fine. Maybe fine. That's great. Terrific. Is that against the law? No. Yeah, but it benefits your candidacy. Uh-huh. Yeah. It benefits your candidacy. Yeah. Yeah, but that's but that doesn't it doesn't anything. It doesn't anything. There's nothing wrong with benefiting your how do I say this? There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, but you're fooling people. How am I fooling people? You're fooling people into thinking that somehow you're up to date on your child support. What? Yeah, you're fooling people into thinking that somehow you really are you're not a deadbeat. What? It makes literally no sense. And I can't make this point enough to you. It doesn't, there's nothing. The federal election laws are only involved when you open an office, when you do something that you only can do when you're running for office. Opening up office, hiring a manager, campaign manager, hiring. You could go up and you could spend, if you wanted to, you could go up and you could put you could decide, if you were so inclined, you could actually decide that you were involved in something even more. How do I say this? You could go ahead and you could say, I'm going to get veneers. I'm going to get hair plugs. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pay this person off. I've got this office. I've got all these crazy these crazy employees. I'm going to pay them off. I don't want them coming back There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And what's wrong with it also is that if you read Judge Mershon's instructions, the jurors on their own can say, well, I think that's against the law. And that is going to be the other crime. Because remember this, okay? I said I wouldn't do this, but I'm going to have to do this. You have to read this. Count 1, and all of these counts are the same with a little variation. That the defendant, Donald Trump, in the county of New York and elsewhere, I like that one, and anyway, on or about the 14th of February, he did it with the intent to defraud someone and intent to commit another crime made and caused a false entry in the records to be made. This was an invoice from Michael Cohen. Okay. Critical. The other crime. And what Judge Mershon did was he told the jurors, listen, you can come up with the following if you want. You can come up with the fact that this other crime could be either a Federal Election Campaign Act, a FECA violation, falsification of other business records, or violation of tax laws. And if the jury says, excuse me, judge, didn't ask this, but if they were the judge, yes. We don't know what FECA is. So you're saying that the other crime that we must find that he was involved in can be the violation of a law that we don't even know anything about? Is that it? Yeah. And not only that, you all don't have to be unanimous. What? You don't have to be unanimous. Wait a minute. What do you mean? Well, out of the 12 jurors, 3 of you can say it's a 4 rather. 4 of you can say it's a FECA violation. 4 could say it's false entry, and 4 of you could say it's a tax law violation. What tax law? We're not accountants. We're not lawyers. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't have to. But nobody proved a FECA violation. It doesn't matter. Listen to what I'm saying. Do you hear what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. Judge, yes. Are you saying that we can go back, find this president guilty of 34 counts based on a false entry, which, okay, we'll assume it's false, and we're not sure whether he entered it. By the way, did Weisselberg mention who entered this? Who? Well, he's not testifying. Oh, yeah, because he doesn't want to go back to Rikers, and nobody's going to give him immunity. So, okay, all right, we'll just assume that President Trump one night said, "Listen, I'd love to pick you up, but I'm entering my business checks tonight. I'd love to pick you up, Melania. I'll be a little late, but I'm writing in this check. See, this is a check. Well, I'd rather you not know about this. This is a check. I'm going to write the voucher in the general ledger here. He also could say, I'm also going to write it on my hand. I'm going to write it on my hand. I'm going to write it on my forehead. I'm going to write it in the air. I don't know what that means. When he writes it in this ledger versus this ledger, who cares? Okay, fine. He entered a false business. It's my records. I don't even have to report this in terms of federal elections until after the election. But anyway, all right, let's assume it's false. I wrote the name wrong. I didn't want to put down Michael. I didn't put Stormy down. I wrote Stinky Saddles. That's my code. Is that a false measure? Maybe. Okay, but let's just assume. With the intent to defraud whom? Okay, I don't know. Let's assume it's what? The American voter? But the American voters are going to say, no, he didn't defraud me. Half of the people, or the people who are going to vote for Biden, weren't affected one way or the other. And the people who are going to vote for him say, I didn't vote for you because there was not an entry made to Dusty Saddles or any other trollop. Doesn't make any sense. But let's assume it's okay. Here's the best part. The other crime, and this is the one that should make you walk out into the street with, just saying, what? Is the other crime could be a crime they think occurred without any proof of it. And they'll say, that's satisfied. I think he was going to violate FICA. Why? I don't know. I just do. I think he violated Section 2 of the Mann Act. Why? I just do. How do you know about that? I don't know. Nobody's asking. This is the worst case ever. I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying this because, I like President Trump. No. No. I am telling you, it is the worst case ever. You can't believe what you are hearing. You can't believe what is happening. You can't. You can't put into words. And nobody cares about this. Nobody cares in the least about this. Nobody's even talking about it. I'm at such a loss for words. And I was watching this and thinking, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything like it. And how it's happening, I have no idea. Now, let me tell you something. Here's one, too. There is a woman named Alina Habba. Okay? Alina Habba, more than anything else, wants to be a babe. She wants more than anything to be a babe. Do you hear what I'm saying? It means more. If you look at her Instagram, here I am on my bikini. Here I am in St. Bart's. Here I am at this one. Trump loves me. I'm his girl. Aren't I sexy? Thank God she's not involved in this case because Blanche was terrific. Blanche, his team was great. And I mean that. I'm so gorgeous. Okay, fine. And somebody said, get out of the way, Alina. Who are you? Who are you? I'm Margot Martin, as we say here. Who? Margot Martin. Who the hell is Margot Martin? I'm a Melania lookalike. And I'm the hottest one who hangs around Trump. And I made a deal with Daily Mail. I'm the one. And then Hope Pick says, out of the way, gals. It's me. Who are you? I'm the other hot one. This is where we are today. This is where we are. Everybody wants to be hot and be. I swear. Alina, act like a lawyer. Just act like a lawyer. Really give it a shot. When I keep saying when Audrey Hepburn was the spokesperson for UNICEF or whatever, Audrey Hepburn didn't go out of her way to constantly remind everybody how sexy she was. She was Audrey Hepburn. She was actually helping people. She wasn't lounging. I mean, it's just Instagram destroyed these people. Destroyed them. They want more than anything else to be this thing. Okay, fine. Well, what this Alina Habba did, everybody says, she nailed Shannon Bream. Another one. This is the Fox News. Who the hell is Shannon Bream? But anyway, I want to share this with you. And Alina, they say, boy, you nailed it. She blew it. She doesn't even understand because the people that you should be listening to are not necessarily hot. And they're men, and they might be in their 60s, and they might know what they're talking about. But I want to share this one with you. This is the one that kills me. Everybody say, oh, it was great. Because these jadrules who watch TV, they don't even listen to what anybody's saying. They just listen to the tone of voice. That's all they care about. And they assume that if you provide a very firm tone of voice, what you said must have made sense. Let's dissect this one.
But the Biden administration is not responsible for this trial.
How can you say the Biden administration is not responsible?
Okay, hang on a second. Okay, fine. Let's go through this very carefully. If I were to ask you right off the bat, you, dear friend, is the Biden administration responsible for this trial? What would you say? Not does it don't give me this business about motivating it. Prosecutions are always motivated for political reasons, always. You don't think Charles Manson was? You don't think it was really important to find somebody responsible for the Tate LaBianca murders? He'll do. This freak. You don't think people went after John Gotti? John Gotti and the commission case made Rudy Giuliani. You think Tom, you think Dewey? I mean, come on. So don't give me this, it's all political. Of course it's political. Everything's political. We're a country of politics. Don't tell me that, well, it's, it's no. Yes, we know that, but that's not the reason. Who brought this piece of work? Why now? What is this case about? Who is responsible? Joe Biden's not responsible. We'll talk about him. Did you see that pathetic? He did some little rally, some little pep rally at a Philly high school. It looked horrible. They could actually, can you imagine trying to find a high school with a gym big enough to handle a Trump rally? Come on. This guy was so Adderalled up, it's not even funny. So the question is, and we're going to break through this, who is responsible for this? Now, Alina Habba misses the point completely, but on social media is heralded as, you nailed it, you torched her. No, she didn't. Let me explain why. Let's watch this, okay? One more time.
Listen, but the Biden administration is not responsible for this trial.
How can you say the Biden administration is not responsible for this trial?
It's a state trial. It's Alvin Bragg. Whether you think there's a political motive for him, it's not connected to the DOJ. I mean,
Shannon.
First of all, right there, stop right there. This is the one where now, Alina, this is they handed this to you. They handed this. She said it's not related to the DOJ. Got it, Alina? They handed you this one. Go ahead. The door is open. Break the door down. She said, the Fox Legal, that the DOJ is not involved in this. Okay? You got it? Okay. Remember that.
The feds passed on these election charges.
Shannon.
That's true.
You should look at how many logs they have of state officials, Letitia James, Fannie Willis, visiting the White House, and then
Irrelevant. I know that doesn't seem important. This doesn't in any way affect the issue of whether the DOJ was involved in this prosecution. Yes. You want to look at the logs? Okay.
tell me that this is not a Biden trial.
No, it's not a Biden trial, not based upon the logs. Okay? No. Point number one, swing and a miss.
I don't
Feds
care.
pass on this case is the point I'm
You're
making.
right. The feds pass on this case also.
Okay, the feds passed on the case initially. The feds, the Southern District, and the FEC, and that's why Brad Smith was going to testify. So remember, the feds passed. Does that have anything to prove the DOJ was involved in this? No. In fact, if the feds passed on it, that would seem to help Shannon Bream's argument.
So DA Cy Vance passed on this case?
Yes, DA, prior predecessor Cy Vance passed on it. Does that establish the DOJ was involved in this? No.
He said
Years
frankly,
ago, and then it came back.
And Bragg passed on this case. You know what?
Bragg passed on it. Does that in any way help the argument that the Department of Justice is responsible in this? Because Bragg passed on it and then took it again? No.
When it came back, when he decided to run for office.
Okay, that's a political motivation in general. That doesn't mean, she said, well, the DOJ's not involved. Keep going. Come on, Alina. It's sitting there in front of you.
So tell me how that's not an indication that Joe Biden, who just sent his campaign down here with Robert De Niro yesterday, isn't a part of this.
No. That doesn't mean he's a part of it. There's an election going on. Trump had his people there. Come on, Alina.
Frankly, any question that we had of that was squashed yesterday. And if you have even more concerns about whether he's involved in this, look at the fact that he is publicizing.
No.
Literally publicizing for tonight to have a speech if a verdict comes out. That's a sad state of affairs. Meanwhile, our country is falling apart. He's got.
Okay, that's nice. That's great. Means absolutely nothing. That didn't establish anything. You had it. Why is this to Biden? Because Colangelo, the number one, the guy from the DOJ, that's the guy. Let's get his name. Right here. This is it. Colangelo. That's right. Let's look in May. Ex-top Biden DOJ official now prosecuting? What? Huh? That's right. Matthew Colangelo, senior counsel to the Manhattan District Attorney. He is the Nathan Wade. Remember Fanny's boyfriend, Nathan Wade? He's the Nathan Wade, special senior counsel, hired by DA Bragg in December of 2022 to lead the prosecution. Previously led the New York Attorney General's civil inquiry into Trump, helped with that one too. Do you think Tish James on her own came up with that? What are you, nuts? And joined the DOJ after Biden took office. So they brought him down to make sure they have, and by the way, the stuff that goes on in the background, you'll never know. This was a Washington hit job. They told Alvin Bragg, move over, Al. We're in charge. Get out of the way, Al. This is a DOJ charge. You don't have the wherewithal and the manpower. We'll do this for you. And just being there, just looking at Judge Mershon, says, go ahead. Look at me. DOJ, federal judge. Is there anything that Judge Mershon is doing illegally? No. Unethically? You decide. Improperly? Oh, absolutely. Incorrectly? 100%. So, Alina, that's your answer. Not that he sent Robert De Niro. See, this is, now, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what Alina Habas, whoever these people. But the point is, if this is the best, you're there every day. But the American public knows nothing about this. The American public knows nothing about this. The American public doesn't care about this. It doesn't care about this. It's because this is too slow sometimes to explain. Step back for a moment, dear friend. Step back. Let me tell you something. Another person who has always been our hero is Mike Lindell with MyPillow.com. Promo code Lionel. It's time yet again, my friends, to hail and salute our great friends at MyPillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you'll get a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I know a free gift. It's a tautology, so sue me. But first, listen carefully. Check out their $25 extravaganzas. Premium My Pillows, Queen and King, My Pillow 2.0. MyPillow bed sheets, the lowest price ever. Sandals, slides, slippers, 6-piece towel sets, 4-pack dish towel sets. Simply and absolutely unbelievable. So go to mypillow.com/Lionel, mypillow.com promo code Lionel, or call 800-645-4965 and watch how fast Mike Lindell answers the phone. mypillow.com, simply and absolutely the best. So let me explain this to you. This is what's critical here. And I'm sorry to say this. This is a case which, if this were handled by by a rational, good, unbiased, juridically minded Supreme Court or appellate court, they would bounce this thing so fast it's not even funny. Do you hear what I'm saying? They would bounce it and it wouldn't even be funny. It's just incredible. Now, let me give you an example of something too, to give you an idea, because we have to do this. Joe Biden is petrified. Joe Biden he doesn't know what to do. Joe Biden better win, because let me tell you something. What Trump is going to be doing is he's going to say, okay, Joe, understand something. In my DOJ, like you're coming after me, I'm going to come after you. And that evil seed son of yours. Because if I find out to be true, which we know is true, that the conspiracies between you and Burisma and your son to keep this lie afloat, to cover up, means through novation and through basically a new, dare I say, kind of a continuation of the conspiracy, tolling of the statute, it's still active. We're going to go after you next. And don't give me this, I'm walking around. I don't care if you're in a hospital bed in tubes. We're coming after you because you wanted this, Joe. You wanted this. Remember the great Jack Reacher. Remember, you wanted this. And they don't know what to do. So they send him out to Philly. And the first thing I would have done is I would have gone right to Kensington and say, what the hell's the matter with this? But oh, no. No, that's a different story. This is the man. What? Listen to this mierda.
The threat that Trump poses is greater in his second term than his first.
Now, I don't know what that means. Yeah, he's got it done the first. Okay.
It's clear that when he lost in 2020, something literally snapped in the sky. No, I'm serious. That's why January 6th happened, when he unleashed an insurrection.
This is all they have.
Now, he's running again, and he's clearly unhinged. He calls insurrectionists who stormed the Capitol patriots. Patriots. If reelected, he wants to pardon, quote, every one of them.
Okay.
Let me ask you, what do you think he would have done on January 6th if black Americans had stormed it? Think about this.
Let me tell you what you're not hearing about, and what the number. Do you know there were black folks there in D.C.? There were black folks, a bunch of them. They weren't arrested. Why? Destroys the narrative. They were there. What about Ashley Babbitt? Quit bringing her up. They absolutely were there. Absolutely. But look at all the defendants. Isn't that something? Not one black defendant. Nobody. And I know you're never going to see that. So it's funny, Joe, you mentioned that. It's like, what if there were black people there? Yeah, that's my point exactly. What about the black folks who were there?
What do you think would have happened if black Americans had stormed the Capitol?
As I said.
I don't think he'd be talking about pardons.
Yeah.
It's the same guy who wanted to tear gas you.
The same guy who wanted to tear gas you. Okay, ready for this? Just wait for this. Wait. The same guy who wanted to tear gas you. Why?
As you peacefully protested George Floyd's murder.
As you peacefully protested George Floyd's murder.
The same guy who still calls the Central Park Five guilty.
The Central Park Five, let's dig up the past. I'm going to leave it at that and say there's a whole lot of folks from NYPD and others who know far more about that case than you or I do, who didn't believe the HBO narrative.
Even though they were exonerated, he's that landlord who denies housing applications because of the color of your skin.
Remember that one? 73? 51 years ago, it was settled. There was no admission of guilt. It was just like, oh, whatever it is. 1973, they're bringing this one up. They are so desperate.
He's that guy who won't say Black Lives Matter.
He won't say Black Lives Matter?
And invokes neo-Nazi Third Reich terms.
Well, if you want to talk about neo-Nazis in Third Reich terms, you know who you go for that? Ukraine. Ask Zelensky about the right sector, about the Azov battalion, Joe. You jadrool.
We all remember Trump is the same guy who unleashed birthism. The birthism lie against Barack.
No, that was Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was responsible. Ask Penn. Ask her guy. He doesn't even know the facts. It was Mark Penn who did this. It was in that memo. That's why Michelle Obama hates her. See, this is the problem. When you know the facts of the case, when you know this, you can't believe what you're hearing. You can't believe what you're hearing. And it's the most incredible thing anybody's ever seen. I am telling you. Now, my friends, in the meantime, let me first of all thank you for being a part of this. I've got to say this again. Mrs. L's YouTube channel is on fire. She's going to be on with Nancy Grace today. Go to her, follow Mrs. L on her Lynn's Warriors X or Twitter account to find this out. She's got a brand new story. You're not going to believe this. When they want to, quote, legalize legalize, quote, the sex trade, you're not going to, was it Belgium? Listen to what they're doing. Prostitution is no longer legal. Pimps, human traffickers are now no longer pimps or human traffickers. They're just managers, back daddies, employment coordinators. They take these poor girls in, threaten them within the inch of their life. I mean, they'll deny it, of course. What are you talking about? This is legal. They don't have to work for us. And then they sue the girls. They own them in perpetuity through civil litigation because now they're employees violating and reneging on an employment contract. This is going on in the world, and nobody is talking about it. So follow So follow Mrs. L right there. Lynn's Warriors. Let me do this again. Hang on a minute. Believe me when I tell you this, my friends. This is critical. Now, there we go. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to be involved in this. You understand this? This is the part which is the most important theory. Important. Remember one thing. Oops, I must run, my friends. That is important. Have a great day. Don't forget the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Ta-ta.